You know, the Fire Emblem fandom really likes their evil mages that suffer from clinical depression. Characters like Leon and Arvist are consistently placed at the top of people's Fire Emblem villain tier lists, and quite honestly, I find myself in agreement with that stance. However, when talking about Fire Emblem evil mages, Nergal often gets overlooked, especially when placed next to his GBA brethren of Leon and Aiden. And I think that's a damn shame, as Nergal is a fantastic villain with a great motive and a great backstory. Though I could hardly blame players if they never once saw any of that backstory. Nergal's first appearance in Fire Emblem 7 comes at the Dread Isle, where it's revealed that he was behind a string of political manipulations with the intent of causing war on the main continent. Unfortunately for him, Eliwood's dad is a certified not piece of shit, so Nergal's plans were unsuccessful and the war was averted. But that begs the question, why the hell did Nergal want to start a war? What did he have to gain from it? Well, when people are at war, they die. And when people die, they give up this energy called quintessence, which is supposed to be some kind of great energy that Nergal learned how to harness into himself. So, by making war in which many people die, he would acquire an incredible amount of quintessence, which he would harvest for his own power. I can kill God! So, okay, but answering that question simply leaves us with a whole new question. What in the hell was Nergal gathering all of that power for? Was he trying to do the classic villain strategy of world conquest? Was he trying to bypass the conquest part of world conquest and just wanted to destroy the planet instead? Was he trying to make Arizona iced teas cost more than 99 cents? Nah, his diabolical plan was far more evil than that. He wants to open a gate. Which, I don't know about you, but that seems like a pretty weak plan. Like, I was able to open a gate and I only needed to murder 12 people, not a whole continent's worth. Well, actually, the gate Nergal wants to open is only slightly more complicated than the gate you'd see in your front yard. He wanted to open a gate called the Dragon's Gate, a portal to another world where the dragons of old all lived away from humanity. To grossly oversimplify the lore of Fire Emblem 6 and 7, humans and Scalies fought in a war, and the humans created weapons that caused global warming, and the dragons fled into the timeout dimension, locking themselves all behind a magic gate because the climate was no longer inhabitable for them, with a few minor exceptions that in no way will ever be relevant to the world ever again. And it's that gate that Nergal wants to open. He wants to free the dragons and return them to the same world as the humans that drove them out. And to do that, he needs two things, either Nils or Ninian to open the gate itself, and his own quintessence to call the dragons through the gate. However, once he has both of them on the Dread Isle, the combined interference of Eliwood's dad and Eliwood's dad's son cause him to lose Nils and Ninian, get stabbed and left with an incredibly serious wound, and get one of his most loyal henchmen, Ephidel, killed. So, needless to say, that was far from Nergal's best day, but it's going to take a lot more than an exploding dragon to keep that old coot down forever. Though it is enough to keep him out for a while. After the mid-game climax, Nergal takes a back seat in the story to heal his wounds and use his henchwoman Sonia and his henchperson Limstella to gather quintessence for him, both to heal his wounds and for the whole Dragon's Gate plan. This creates a sense of urgency, as the good guys have to scramble and find the power needed to defeat Nergal before Nergal can recover to full power and defeat them. But not to spoil anything, yeah, they don't do that in time. Nergal reaches full power and kidnaps Ninian again, and once he has her, he forces her to turn into a dragon against her will. Then, he sicks her onto Eliwood and tricks him into killing her, which seems like the absolute most douchebag move motivated by pure sadism, but there was actually a solid reason for it. With Ninian dead, he was able to fuse her quintessence into her Dragonstone, allowing him to open the gate without having to worry about Ninian doing it for him. However, while engaging in this fucketry, he is wounded by Athos, leaving him too weak to open the gate right away, since he would be unable to control the dragons that come from it. It's at this point that we finally get a bit of backstory. Athos and Nergal met in Nabata about 500 years prior to the game's events, where, as equals in knowledge and power, they set off on a journey to learn more about the ways of the world and how it all works. They discovered a city hidden within the sands called Arcadia, where humans and dragons lived in peace, as a few dragons didn't go into the timeout dimension and instead lived in secrecy with some not-asshole humans. Nergal and Athos helped protect this desert utopia, and helped it flourish with their magical protection and wisdom. But hold on, Nergal sounds like a not-asshole here. What the hell happened? Well, after nearly 400 years of living in Arcadia, Nergal suddenly started looking into things that no man ever should. Things like erecting an army of dark magic power and stealing the souls of the innocent. Athos and the scholars of Arcadia fought him and drove him off, but they were unable to kill him. And so, Nergal spent the next 100 years slowly gaining strength and biding his time, eventually being able to make his move and call two dragons, Ninian and Nils, through the gate, and well, you know how the rest of the story goes. However, on the first playthrough of the game, that's all the information we get about his backstory. He says he wants to open the Dragon's Gate up so that he can rule the world with the power of dragons. And as Untitled Mode concludes, the good guys go up and kill Nergal, and his true motive is never explained at all. So, at first glance, he really is nothing more than a generic evil man for the sake of being an evil man, and I completely understand why the general fandom overlooks him. However, that's what we have Hector Mode for, so sit the hell down, Elwood, it's time to get into the Hector Mode exclusive content. In a Hector Mode exclusive chapter, we learn that Nergal is more to Nils and Ninian than a kidnapper. He's actually their father. During the war between humans and dragons, he had Ninian and Nils wait on the Dread Isle before going into the timeout dimension, as he wanted to find their mother, his dragon wife, Anir. He told them that if he did not return in 10 days to go through the gate without them. However, it is heavily implied that Anir did not survive the war, and thus Nergal's search was in vain, and so Nergal was separated from his children. It's not quite known what he was doing between then and when he met Athos 500 years later, though it can be assumed he was looking for a way to see his family again. And when he met Athos in Nabata, he really wasn't that bad of a guy at all. He might have been a grieving widow, but he still held on to his sanity. What caused his turn in morality was his delve into the dark arts. In order to call his children, he needed an incredible amount of power, and that power doesn't come without a price. Dark magic is the strongest of all magics, but using it requires an immense toll on one's being. Use too much of it, and your sanity and soul will be consumed by madness. Nergal went too deep into this power, and lost his soul to the powers of the dark, leading to the absolute bastard of a man you see in the game. Nergal's insanity twisted his true goal and morphed it into something else entirely. The sentence, "I need to open the Dragon's Gate to reunite with my children, Ninian and Nils, who are dragons," became, "I need to open the Dragon's Gate." Dragons. He forgot why he wanted to open the gate, only that he really wanted to open that goddamn gate. It isn't until his dying breath that he starts to remember. As he dies, he goes, Why did I want power? Anir? Don't understand. His sanity briefly returns to him as he goes, giving us one brief look into his true personality and goal. So you might be thinking, wow, that's really sad and interesting. Why don't more people talk about Nergal? Well, sit down, because I'm about to let out 10 years of pent-up rage over how fucking stupid it is to see Nergal's backstory. For starters, in Untitled Mode, he literally says, "I will harness a power never before seen on this world, and I will become this world's master. That is my desire." I mean, sure, this is because he's totally fucking insane and doesn't remember who he is, but you'd have no reason to believe he was actually a good guy at heart when the game expressly tells you the opposite. Okay, so next you have to play the game on Hector Mode, which not everyone does since it isn't unlocked until after you've already beaten the game. When people beat a game, they usually go on to the next game, so by locking vital information about your main villain behind a second playthrough, you've already cut down a good chunk of your players who will see it. But wait, there's more than just playing it on Hector Mode. You also have to replay Lin Mode going into Hector Mode and get Nils up to level 7. you have to level up the Dancer, who can only gain 10 XP at a time, up 6 levels in the 5 chapters that you have him. Okay, let's just say you did all of that. You've done Lyn mode again into Hector mode with Nils at level 7, and you still aren't done. You need to unlock Chapter 19X, which requires you to beat Chapter 19 in 15 turns or less. This is probably the least offensive step of all this, but it's just another ingredient in this convoluted pie of bullshit. And, now that you're on Chapter 19X with Nils level 7 or higher for Lyn mode, now you have to kill Kishuna, who, for those who aren't aware, has speed most of your units literally can't match, prevents all mages from being able to damage him, and leaves 1 turn after he's attacked for the first time. And to top it all off, he's positioned at the end of the chapter, so if you fuck up, you have to reset the entire chapter to hope RNG goes your way and you can hit the son of a bitch. And if you do all of that, you can unlock 19XX, which shows the flashback and explains how Nergal went insane. And it triggers the death quote where Nergal talks about his wife. All good? Nope! There's yet more bullshit here! Because in addition to all the nonsense to see the scenes themselves are a victim of translation errors. When Nergal is dying, he doesn't say his wife's name in the Western release. He says Quintessence. So basically, rather than saying, "Why did I want power? My wife?" he instead says, "Why did I want power? Power?" So, unless you found all of that shit out, and then also happen to be around on the internet and learn of the correct translations, Nergal would just fall flat like all the other generic evil Fire Emblem wizards. So while I can't blame the fandom for sleeping on him, I can definitely say that I hope at least some of you watching this video have a newfound appreciation for Nergal. Or at the very least your opinion goes from to I'll take that. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like the video, comment on the video, ring the bell for notifications, subscribe to the channel, and make my face your Twitter icon to prove your undying loyalty to me. I don't know where we'll be going next. All I can say, it's probably going to be a Fire Emblem character. So until then, thanks so much for watching, and remember,